Welcome back to another action figure obsession, and this is your old pal Avian and Loaded. Got a little bit of sleep last night, but also spent some time ruminating about my displays and my collection. And one of the things that I saw in a video that I watched over the weekend was something that is so obvious that I'm almost embarrassed that I've kind of avoided it for years now, for like a decade, because I got my first Hasbro Marvel Legends Human Torch back during the Walgreens days, which I think was 2015, 2016, whatever year that original Human Torch came out. This is the retro Human Torch from much more recently, and he probably came with these pieces too. But it never really occurred to me until I saw in a review him completely just kitted out with the flaming effects pieces for the fists and the pieces on his ankles there that come usually people wrap them around the wrists of some of the characters, but he looks pretty warm with all those flame effects all going at once, I have to say. And this is of course the retro Human Torch Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four. But for the purposes of this setup, it is Jim Hammond, the World War II Human Torch. And the difference would be Hasbro Marvel Legends has never done a Jim Hammond Human Torch. I don't think Toy Biz did either, I don't think. The main difference between the two visually is sometimes Johnny Storm has a 4 on his chest, and thankfully he does not have that here. The Marvel Select one had replaceable chest pieces where you could have the 4 or the just another area of flame come bursting out of his chest, and that was for the included Jim Hammond alternate head. So you could make the World War II Human Torch, and there'd be no question about what it was. The distinctive feature about the Jim Hammond Human Torch is that his face, generally when he's on fire, when he's flamed on, is generally shown to just be a flat sort of oval. He doesn't have any distinctive facial features such as eyes or nose or mouth. And Johnny Storm, historically, ever since Jack Kirby created the look for Johnny Storm, you've usually seen his facial features to one extent or another. Of course, to give him more character, more options for facial expression, that sort of thing. But this then would be my World War II Invaders display. Defenders is another sort of, alternate type of sort of Avengers-like team at Marvel. But no, the Invaders were the World War II Avengers, basically. They were the super team that fought the fascists and in World War II. And allied themselves against the Axis for the Allies, and we have what's interesting about that? One of the things that's interesting about that, and the Invaders is a complete retcon, by the way. That although all 3 of these characters existed during World War II and even before World War II in what was then Timely Comics back in 1939. Well, of course, World War II had begun, in 1939, I believe. The United States didn't start participating until 1941 after the attack on Pearl Harbor. But my point is that all of these characters existed prior to the United States entry into World War II. And certainly in their individual comics, I'm sure that they had some World War II related missions and stories in the pages of Timely Comics in the early 1940s and during World War II. But they didn't team up as such, although there is one famous issue-long battle between the Submariner, Prince Namor, and the Jim Hammond Human Torch. That is a story well worth searching out. One of the very first superhero crossover stories in the history of comics. And basically, it's a fire versus water story that just goes on for the entire issue and escalates and escalates and escalates. I don't remember if that was in Marvel Mystery Comics or what book it was in, I know I have read it in reprint form. As I say, it's well worth searching out the original Submariner versus the original Human Torch. But in the 1970s, Roy Thomas, and I'm not sure who else, possibly others, created a comic book called The Invaders, which was set during World War II. Roy Thomas is a writer known for his nostalgia and also his retconning of things that never happened at the time. But he likes to create new stories, or liked to create new stories that were based in the past. All-Star Squadron for DC was an example of that. That was an extension of the Justice Society, which actually did exist in one form or another during World War II. But The Invaders, usually written by Roy Thomas and usually drawn by Frank Robbins and Frank Springer. Occasionally, I think he had other artists during that run. And it lasted a long time, that book. I think it lasted at least 4 or 5 years, maybe more, in the 70s. And it was a fun comic. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of carryover from issue to issue, storylines and sort of foreshadowing. And I could have grabbed my Union Jack, because he appeared significantly in The Invaders and was a participant during World War II in The Invaders, and joined The Invaders. But I just wanted to give you the big three right here. If we had the big five of The Invaders, we would also have Toro, the Human Torch's teenage sidekick, so I'd need a shorter Human Torch. And then we would also have Bucky for Captain America. Bucky was Captain America's boy partner during World War II, both in the real comics published during World War II and in The Invaders, which is set during World War II, but published in the 1970s. Have I established that enough yet? There is a Hasbro Bucky figure. It's terrible. It is so terrible. If you look it up on YouTube, look up a review, or just look up images of it. It is so terrible that I don't even want it. You know, there are some figures that are kind of terrible, but you want them anyway. And then there are some that are not great, but you know, you love that look and you love the character and you want them anyway. And then there's Bucky. There's poor Bucky. The only good Bucky figures from Hasbro are the Crimson Dynamo, Build-A-Figure Wave, Winter Soldier, which would not be appropriate for an Invaders lineup because the Winter Soldier didn't exist yet at that time. And even the janky, kind of outdated, obsolete Winter Soldier movie figures from like 2014, 2015. And other, you know, figures that came after that one, that were built on that same body. I think they reused that mold, I think, at least 2 or 3 times. The movie Winter Soldier body, very, very skinny, very not powerful looking, and not very dynamic, and not very posable. But I think that these are my 3 big guys that I have for my Invaders little mini display, really. I'd love to get a 5-pack of the Invaders, a modern 5-pack, like an Amazon exclusive thing would be fine, where you got, you know, a nice, maybe a repaint of the Marvel vs. Capcom Captain America, with a new Bucky, a brand new Bucky, on a good body, and it could even be the good teenage body. I got one of those around here. I mean, they'd have to retool some of it, I think, for his the details of his costume. But they do have a good teenage body, and they misused it when they put this black costume Spider-Man on it, because teenage Spider-Man never wore the black costume. But they do have teenage bodies, and they could probably do a good Bucky if they wanted to. Uh-oh. I'm not going to call that a mass casualty event. It was only 2 guys, and they were right here, and I picked them right up. Doesn't even count. It's like helping somebody that fell down on the street. They're fine. Everybody's fine. See? Everybody's fine. So what I did, this Human Torch, the Retro Human Torch, probably came with these fiery fist effects. I don't recall for certain. Certainly, I think the depowered Hasbro Pulse exclusive version of that figure, you know, just blonde-haired Johnny Storm in a Fantastic Four uniform. He probably came with those fiery fist effects. I've got to look deep into a collection of 1,000 figures to figure out who's using them, because I can't find them. But I did know right off the top of my head that Iron Fist from the 85 Years of Marvel line a couple of years back, which would have been 2024, I guess, would have been the 85 Years Marvel line if I'm doing the math correctly. Um, he came with those fire effects for his Iron Fist, his special attack with the fire and flames. So I just grabbed them. I knew where those were. I knew where the Iron Fist and Power Man accessories were. Yes, words are so hard. Um, so I found them and I dug them out and I gave them to the Human Torch and I put the wrist flamey things that are supposed to wrap around the forearm. I grabbed those off of his forearms and put them around his ankles to give him a little extra flame. But I think that he looks really hot, and I don't say that about guys very often. But yeah, I wouldn't want to touch him. I'm afraid I'd get burned, and that's all there is to that. So as far as a kit bashed Jim Hammond World War II era Human Torch, I think this is as good as it's going to get, unless I were to buy a custom head, and I don't know if there are such things as custom translucent heads that would match what's going on with this figure. Seems unlikely, but it would be nice again if they did an updated 5-pack for the Invaders with a retooled or at least recolored Captain America, repainted. And then they could use this Sunfire body mold for Human Torch as long as they included all the accessories and as long as they tooled a new Jim Hammond head, which I would think that they would be able to reuse in the future and kind of amortize their expenses for that. Because there's got to be some other character. Oh, you know what? They could use the head from Zero, although it might be too big. But he was in that X-Men Villains 5-pack. And he just has a blank head because he has a big 0 on the front of his faceplate. So, if I'm recalling correctly, I don't think he has any facial features like a nose or a mouth or eyes. So, maybe that, but they might have to scale it down. But it's possible, my friends. What I'm saying is it's possible. So we would need a new Toro, which would just be a shorter Human Torch, and you could probably use the existing teenage body for that one too. And we need Bucky, the boy companions of the Human Torch, and Captain America here with his World War II shield. That would need to be included as well. This is the one from the 2024 Marvel Select Captain America. And Prince Namor, I just think he's due for an update. This figure is, I think, the original Walmart exclusive one that they did around the time they were doing the Fantastic Four. Or is he? Oh, there was one that came. Oh, maybe he's the one from the Black Panther wave. When they did the first Black Panther wave, there was a Submariner in that line. Maybe this is from that. Now that I'm thinking about it, the Walgreens Submariner is the one in the colorful costume with the fish scales on it, and he's got some fish scales on his underoos here. I hate how the paint creeps up over the belt there. I tried to get that belt to go up, but I don't think it does. I think that's all sculpted. These gauntlets are sculpted. I discovered to my sadness. There is no arm under there. It's just they produce the forearm in the flesh tone color, and then they just paint the gauntlets gold. And they've done that with a few characters using those same forearms over the years. Which is weird because almost any other character they would just make the gauntlets a separate piece and print them out, or not print them out, but produce them in whatever swirly twirly color they're supposed to be, whether it's gold or silver or whatever. I want to call your attention to his trident here, which I think is the trident that he came with originally, or a Submariner figure came with. I have 3 or 4. But this gauntlet is one of my most successful custom jobs. And I know it's not perfect, and I know there could be more, but the area in which there could be more, which is right in here with all this filigree and ornateness, if that's a word, that's a little too small an area for me to get in with an acrylic paint pen and do anything. But the head of the trident, I painted silver, and then the little jewel there, I managed to paint red. So it's like a ruby with a silver or, steel blade. and then just the swirly twirly gold plastic that it came in for the rest of it. So the top part of it, everything from that red blade above, I painted with my own two hands, and I think I did a pretty good job. I don't think that looks bad, and it's a good example of how you don't have to do much to bring some life to these accessories, Hasbro. You don't have to paint everything. You don't have to, blow the budget on extra paint apps. Just this one part, and they could have even done it in two parts and just produced the bladed part at the top in swirly twirly plastic, and then glued it together, and maybe inserted a piece molded in red for the jewel, or eschew the jewel altogether. Eschew the jewel. But I think I did a pretty good job on that trident. I'm pretty proud of that. And this Submariner, by the way, usually is standing, and he'll probably go back to that. This isn't going to be a permanent display yet, but it does have me thinking. I do have the Fantastic Four is on my Jack Kirby shelf, the Thousand Oak shelf. The Human Torch is in that display on a flight stand, and then this is a second retro Human Torch, same figure. So this guy gets to be the World War II Human Torch, I decided. And the other one is Johnny Storm on fire on a flight stand in the Jack Kirby Thousand Oak shelf. This Namor is usually in my Defenders display because he is a founding member of the Defenders, along with the Hulk and Doctor Strange. And Silver Surfer is, I don't think he was a founding member, but he was pretty soon thereafter. And that's my big four of the Defenders on my Defenders shelf. And then it also includes some other characters who are Defenders or Defenders adjacent, like Moon Knight and who else is over there? Oh my God. Just see it with your mind, young Luke. Close your eyes and look with your mind. Oh, yes. The 1970s Luke Cage with the tiara. That one that came out a couple years ago. He's in my Defenders display. He was definitely a Defender for a while. Also, Deathlock, who I don't think was ever in the Defenders, but he seems to me like he should have been. And who else am I forgetting? It doesn't matter. The important thing is that it has Doctor Strange. It has the 20 Years of Marvel Legends Hulk, and it has Prince Namor the Submariner. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with my Defenders shelf, although it definitely needs to be taken down and dusted and reassembled. Maybe I'll get them all up here on the workbench and show them to you when I decide to dust everybody off. I'm sure some of them have been standing there for probably 8 years now, so I imagine they're pretty dirty and pretty dusty. But I think that's going to do it for now. I just wanted to show you what I've been thinking about the Invaders, especially since I saw that video on YouTube here somewhere. I forget who did it, and apologies for that. But seeing him kitted out with the shoulder flame piece, which hides to a certain extent the drawbacks, not a huge extent, as you can see there. He's still got those tiny little Sunfire shoulders, but from certain angles it kind of covers it up, and from a distance you don't really notice so much that his shoulders are ridiculous. But the fireballs on the fists, I think, really add a lot for a Human Torch, and I should have always gone nuclear with firing him up as much as I could. And I think that's about the limit of it for the pieces that I have on hand. I mean, I could throw in some explosions, I guess. What'd you do behind yourself there, Johnny? How'd you do that? I don't know, Reed. It just happened, But that's another good translucent sort of flaming effect piece here. I forget which one this came with. I've got the one from the Punisher 2-pack with Bushwhacker. That one has the little pieces of shrapnel painted on the end, because there are little tiny pieces of shrapnel at the end of each one of these sort of points coming out of the explosion. But yeah, I think that's it for now. Just wanted to talk to you about the Invaders, and I can't imagine those comics are super expensive. They kind of seem like dollar bin fodder to me, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe they're going for a lot of money now. But check out the Invaders sometime if you ever see one in a comic shop, or you find them online somewhere, or you have Marvel Unlimited. They're probably on there. that was a fun series. It wasn't a masterpiece of comics by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a good, solid read month after month after month for years on end. And I did love the idea of a sort of Avengers type team back in World War II that was led by Captain America and had a Human Torch that I almost recognized because he wasn't Johnny Storm, but he was the original Human Torch. And of course, Prince Namor, the Submariner, who has been a mainstay, I think, in every era of Marvel Comics, starting with Marvel Mystery Comics #1 or Marvel Comics #1, whichever that first issue was titled, back when it was published by Timely. And I guess that's all I have to say about that, my friends. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. Leave a comment. Did you read The Invaders back in the day? Have you looked at them in modern times? Does it hold up? Is it still a good comic? All those World War II adventures of these characters and others. Subscribe to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you are informed anytime I upload a new video that will be similar to, but not identical to, this one. And I do have something else planned, at least for today, so there probably will be at least one fairly lengthy one later on today. So keep an eye out for that. And again, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see it. I'd give you a hint, but it's a secret. That's all I can tell you. It's a secret. Thanks for joining me for this action figure obsession here on the Avian and Loaded channel, and I will see you on the next one. What do you say, Namor? Imperious Rex. Yeah, that's what he says. What do you say there, Human Torch? Flame on. Yeah, that's what he says. And what do you say, Cap? I do it for the dream.